Hey everyone, it's Andy, and today I want to talk about the new Vesteria subclass that will be coming out soon. And since we got Bard a while back, and then we got Songweaver, recently it makes us think, what about Warriors, and what new subclass will be coming next? Well, I got good and bad news. The good news is we are getting a new subclass soon, which is already in development. But sadly, it's not going to be a Warrior subclass. I know, right? It's pretty tragic. The new subclasses are going to be a Mage Club class again. I don't know why. I guess the devs just have greater vision for mages, or just show a little favoritism to them. But enough of that, and let's get into what the new subclass could be and what the abilities are. So, what has been sneaked recently in the Painter subclass leaks and discussion forum for Vesteria? Polymorphic has been pretty active in this forum, and he's been basically showcasing a lot of what the vision for the Painter subclass is. So yeah, he's also been saying a lot in CC chat, he said it a while back, and he's just talking about how the Painter subclass really is like the first high skill ceiling class in Vesteria. First, I'll be going over like what basically the different Painter abilities will do. So the first thing that you guys gotta know is that Painter will basically have multiple types of ways to play. It's kind of gonna be like a jack of all trades. It's gonna be revolving around something called paint colors, and the different ink colors will basically mean what the different abilities of the paint does. So for example, first for red is going to be a burst damage, like they mainly use it for DPS, and then blues is kind of gonna be like chaining and multi-hit. So yeah, red would be like a burst damage, I guess like trickster bubbles just bursting and does a lot of damage. And then blue would be like a multi-hit damage over time more, I guess, but they're both DPS. Then green is I guess it's kind of like protection, and it also gives heals. So yeah, green is going to be like more support based, and yellow paint will be more mobility and utility. That's what will be yellow. This is going to be like a really versatile class. Just if you play it well, it'll be effective. And then orange paint will be more like area control / AoE. It'll be really cool in big explosions, so yeah. And then lastly, you got purple, which is crowd control and selfish buffs. I like to think that green would be more team buffs, and you could provide a lot of like heals and shields, but for selfish buffs it would be more like for yourself, and you get like a defense buff or a damage buff personally. And yeah, Painter isn't supposed to be your typical Vesteria class. Most classes let you get away with little sloppy timing or button mashing, but not this one. If your aim and positioning or brush choice is off, your damage drops fast, and it shows. Every brushstroke really counts for this class. This class is built for players who really want to master their kit, and you need to be able to use your paint correctly for the class to be effective. And if you want a class that challenges you with mechanics and rewards smart play, Painter is probably going to be for you. And what really sets Painter apart is like its flexibility, which I mentioned before. It's going to be like a jack of all trades. Say a boss is about to unleash a big AoE attack. Other classes have to dodge, or Songweaver can shield. But for Painter, they can use your green paint, which is the protection paint, and you can throw it out as a shield. And you always have to be quick reacting. If you want to play aggressively, you can switch to red paint, or if you want to control space, you can switch to orange. So yeah, you guys kind of get the idea. Compare this to Sorcerer. Polly said that Sorcerer is more simpler, I guess. I mean, Sorcerer, of course, does require a little bit of skill. If you mess it up, it can still be kind of effective, but Painter, if you mess it up a single time, then you are just basically able to do nothing. Painters can also dip into a lot of support, but it's not like a full tank or healer. And if you're doing damage also, it's not going to be a full damage dealer, so you just get a little bit of everything. Now let's go over the current abilities sneak peeked for Painter. The ability 1 is called Brushstroke. Swipe your staff and crash down a stream of paint in a small area. For blue paint, it'll swipe 3 times, each impact dealing 0.4 times damage. If it's red paint, if only one enemy is stuck, explode on impact for an additional 0.5 times damage. And for green and orange, we haven't gotten yet. But for yellow, you strike a faster attack, and if 2 enemies are hit, it refunds 35% of the ability's cooldown. And lastly, for this ability, for purple, if you strike at least 1 enemy, your next paint ability with 10 seconds costs no mana and deals an additional 25% damage. One thing I like about this class is that it's very clear about what the different types of paint deal to the abilities. And for the second ability on the Painter, I just wasn't able to find it on the forum, or it just doesn't exist yet. But for the third ability, you have Paint Splat. Drop a glob of paint over a large area. For blue, instead of dropping 1, you drop 3 smaller paint globs and that slightly overlap and deal 40% damage each. For red paint, you leave behind a red puddle of paint for 3 seconds that deals damage over time to all enemies standing on top of it. And for green, you leave behind a green puddle of paint for 3 seconds that restores mana over time to all allies standing in the puddle. And for yellow and orange, we do not have it yet, but for purple, the enemies hit are splattered with the purple paint and cause them to take 10% increased damage from you for 5 seconds. The fourth ability is called Nature Scene. Paint a scene of white paint that encircles an area, then collapses inward and damages all enemies caught within. For blue paint, you paint an aquatic scene that expands from the center and deals 0.6 damage to any enemies touching it, and that echoes 0.2 damage to all enemies inside the zone. For red, you paint a volcanic scene that deals an instant 1.5 burst damage to all enemies within the scene. For green, you paint a field of flowers healing all allies within the scene for an extended duration. Excess healing from the ability is converted to a shield that lasts for 6 seconds. This one sounds pretty useful. For yellow, you paint a scene of radiating light. Allies within the zone gain increased movement speed and jump height and cannot lose stamina. This effect lingers for 2 seconds after leaving the zone. This one sounds really useful also. For orange, you paint a desert scene that lasts for 5 seconds. Every second pulses enemies inside for 0.25 damage. Enemies that are pulsed 3 times become rooted. Enemies take 10% increased damage from this ability for each time previously pulsed. And lastly, for purple paint, you paint an astral scene around the cast position that basically increases your damage and reduces your cast time, and also refunds 10% cooldown of all current cooldowns of your abilities. For these last 2 abilities, I'm just going to go over them quickly. Ability 5 is Sketch, and fire a spiraling zigzag that travels in your target's direction and damages the first enemy in its path. You can read these ones, they're pretty cool also. And lastly, we have the Smudge ability, and Smudge basically swipes your staff in an arc and releases a smear of paint that travels forward in an arc and damages all enemies. And the cooldown is low-medium. Now for the last part of the video, I want to talk about the really cool concept arts for this class. I think a lot of people are excited for this, so they've been drawing a lot of cool concept arts. Hopefully I credit all the artists correctly. If I didn't credit you, just comment down below if you're seeing this video. So first off, it's by this person in the Discord server. This one looks really cool, honestly. I like the just design of this, and I think I really like how it looks kind of like a painter, and there's like a little like overalls inside of it, and we got like the rainbow colored, all the tethers and like the little pencils on the top of the hat. I think that's pencils on top of the hat, but that one looks really cool. And then we have a black version, and it also has a black robe, and this one looks cool. And you can see the side profile has like a little cool paint canvas or whatever it's called, the plate with all the paints on it on the side, and that's just really cool. I really like these designs. Credit to this person in the Discord. Next, we have these 2 designs by this person. I think this looks really interesting in my opinion. I really like these ones. This kind of reminds me of like the hobo armor from Vesteria, but like it's really like paint on it, and it looks really cool. I like the hat, how the hat kind of looks like the paint plate they have, and in the pockets of the arms they have, or in the pockets of the coat they have like the paintbrush and like the little paint tubes, which is really cool. I really like this one. And then they also made one that has more of like a painter robe. I think this is really cool also. This is kind of interesting. I like this one. And it has like, I think it's like a dress or something like that, and it has like the stars on it. It looks cool, and it has also the paint plate, and yeah, this one looks really cool. And yeah, that's pretty much all for the video. Credit to all the artists who drew the cool painter robes and everything, and all like the designs. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 2K subs by the end of the year, and every little bit of support helps a ton. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. This is Andy, and goodbye.